So the DCU's broken? Wait, I thought it just started. Said all of the 7 people watching this? Well, no, it hasn't just started. It started in 2013, which is 4 years ago. Like, if that's recent, I beg you to get a better concept of time, because in that amount of time, a child could have been born and then grown up enough to watch one of these films. Maybe not. The structure of the cinematic universe is completely idiotic, with DC wasting most of its huge character-driven stories before we've even had time to get to know the characters. Don't understand? Well, I'll explain it. I've obviously got nothing else better to do. So the DCU started with Man of Steel in 2014, where we're introduced to Superman, or as they decided to name him in the title, the Man of Steel, which totally isn't narcissistic at all. This was actually a decent start for DC, despite the fact the movie itself was less exciting than watching white paint dry. Other colours may vary, but it was pretty passable because not every studio can start with an Iron Man, so yeah. It also introduced Superman and stuff pretty well, although that fucking death scene annoys me every time I watch it. But all in all, pretty good film. But then, for some inexplicable reason, in only the second movie they decided to introduce Batman and make him fight Superman, for, well, stupid reasons. Oh my god, the super powerful alien just saved the world. I must kill him. Okay, now that might be a bit of an oversimplification, but in the comics, having those two fight would have worked, because in the comics it portrays Batman as an uninteresting character, and because he's been around for so long and he's been fully developed, he has sort of motives to try and fight Superman, which makes sense. Whereas in the DCEU, he hasn't even been introduced properly before he is shown to be hating Superman. That's basically what his character is built around in this film, which isn't good for one of DC's biggest characters, who they're planning to make movies about in the future. So why does this affect the whole cinematic universe, I hear all 4 of you say? Well, I'm going to use a bit of a weird analogy. Think of this as a building. In a building, you usually start with the foundations and then build your way up. And then eventually the building will get destroyed and something else will be rebuilt in its place. The MCU did this really well. It built its foundations with the first phase, meaning Iron Man, Iron Man 2, Captain America and Thor. Then it built into the Avengers, which was going up, and then in Phase 2 it went even further, till eventually Age of Ultron, then finally Civil War knocked it down again. Now the films after Civil War will be building it back up. DC won't be able to do this anymore, because all they've done is build the foundations with Man of Steel, and then immediately knock that down. This will affect them a lot in the future, and I don't think they realise this. Other than the in-universe problems, it's also just a waste of the story. Batman fighting Superman was a huge thing in the comics because there'd been hundreds of issues of each of them to get to know the characters, and you saw them as friends and then you saw them work together and stuff. So there was a huge impact when you saw them fighting. So having them fight after knowing each other not at all is quite honestly just a waste of a story. Which, again, is why Civil War worked so well, because you saw Captain America and Iron Man fight together and, yes, have their disagreements, but, be friends. You never saw that with Superman and Batman, hence why, it didn't really have much of an impact seeing them fighting. Also, they wasted fucking Doomsday! But it gets worse. For DC's third film, they decided to release the monstrosity that is Suicide Squad. I won't go into detail on why I hate this shitty fucking piece of crap, but trust me, it's crap. But it's still relevant to my point. In Suicide Squad, a group of people we are basically just told are villains have to unite to save the world, because, well, plot convenience. I know this movie could have been amazing, but instead DC yet again jumped the gun. If this film had come out maybe 10 movies in and contained villains we'd actually seen being villains, then it would have made their switch to being a good guy more of a big deal. And it would have made it so they hadn't had to cram 20 character introductions into the first act. And then, along came a shining light. Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman was great, and I think it perfectly corresponds with my point. Wonder Woman is an origin story that takes its time and is a self-contained story in itself. It doesn't really have anything to do with the rest of the universe. Only Wonder Woman in it, no other heroes. And I think that's great. DC need to do more of that, because it's very, very character building, and will make it so in Justice League, Wonder Woman will probably be the character I care about the most. But sadly, DC didn't learn from their success with Wonder Woman, and as previously mentioned, their next film will be Justice League. And if the one person who's still watching this didn't know, Justice League will be an ensemble film similar to the Avengers, containing a fully established Wonder Woman, like a maybe 45% established Batfleck, a dead Superman, and then the Flash, Cyborg, and Aquaman. Also, one member, which no one's really sure who it is yet, it's probably Green Lantern, but I think it's pretty cool that they haven't actually told us, which kind of doesn't go with my idea of them establishing characters, but oh well. But in the case of Cyborg, Flash, and Aquaman, I think at least two of them could have had solo movies before Justice League coming out, because that means that they're basically introducing four characters in one movie, and that's four main universe characters, which won't work. I can assure you of that now. It would have laid the foundations for those characters so much better if they did probably Flash and Aquaman before Justice League. But instead, DC's rushing it all so it comes out before Infinity War. My final example of DC ruining their universe is from the reports that the first Flash solo movie will be based off the storyline Flashpoint. This seriously saddens me to know that they're going to waste a completely character-driven story so early. This is, and always will be, DC and Warner Brothers' biggest mistake, even worse than Green Lantern and bat nipples. If you didn't know, Flashpoint is a storyline where the Flash goes back in time to when he was a child to save his mother from the Reverse Flash. In turn, this changes everything. If you want to find out more, I suggest watching either Jay Olivia's Justice League Flashpoint Paradox or the far more entertaining seasons 1 through 3 of the Flash series. But anyway, for Flashpoint to work, the audience really needs to understand Barry Allen and how losing his mother has affected him. Otherwise, he just seems like a selfish dick, which is the opposite of what Barry Allen as a character is supposed to be. And all that's not even mentioning the effect comic Flashpoint has on the rest of the Justice League characters like Aquaman and Batman, who, if they stay true to the source, will change as well. And because as of yet they haven't really been shown as standalone characters, no one will care, because they don't really have anything to compare it to. Most of this is just my opinion, and the rest is just prediction, and in all honesty, I really hope I'm wrong. But if DC keep going like this, then their building, or universe, won't be able to compete with Marvel's skyscraper. If you made it this far, please leave a comment, because I like reading things. Also, please leave a like and subscribe if you like this type of video, but either way, thanks for watching.